Before we begin, this video has very little information about Alice in Wonderland and the famous boat ride that led to the creation of the story. But don't worry, I have a video coming soon on those very topics. This video is purely about the odd behaviour of Lewis Carroll. Enjoy the video. Lewis Carroll, born on the 27th of January 1832, whose real name was Charles Lutwidge Dodgson, is best known as the playful Oxford mathematician who created the famous book Alice in Wonderland. But the more you dig into his private life, the more confusing, conflicting, and disturbing things seem to get. This video looks into the more troubling parts of Carroll's history, his camera work, his connections with kids, the missing parts of his diary, and the long debate about why he acted the way he did. To really understand Lewis Carroll, we need to know what life was like during the time he was around. In Victorian England, the idea of being a child was quite different from today. Children, especially young girls, were seen as symbols of purity, innocence, and perfect morality. Artists, writers, and photographers embraced this ideal. They made pictures and artworks that would not be acceptable today. People in this day and age usually find these artworks scary or uncomfortable, but the Victorians thought they were touching and sacred. This cultural background doesn't excuse Lewis Carroll's actions, but it does help explain how he viewed his own work. Lewis Carroll was an early enthusiast of photography, which was a completely new way to create art in the 1800s. He took 3,000 pictures in his lifetime, but out of those 3,000 pictures, 1,500 of them were of children. Many of his photos have either gone missing or have been purposefully destroyed. Out of the 3,000 pictures he took in his lifetime, only about 1,000 of Carroll's photographs still exist. Many were destroyed over time. Images depicting children unclothed were most frequently destroyed, though a few rare examples survived and are now preserved in museum collections, including the Rosenbach Museum. A lot of his portraits were considered harmless by the standards of the Victorian era. They often showed children in costumes, symbolic poses, or peaceful outdoor scenes. Some pictures, especially those showing children without clothes, have become a major topic of debate today. Carroll insisted his motives were artistic. He usually needed permission from parents, and he had chaperones such as the children's parents or caregivers around during the activities. He said his interest came from a true love of art, and he viewed children as symbols of natural beauty. But modern scholars point out the pattern: his overwhelming preference for young girls, his emotional intensity in friendships with children, his meticulous attention to their appearance, and the large number of child portraits he created. This combination has made a lot of researchers think deeply about his reasons. No part of Lewis Carroll's life is more confusing or talked about more than his connection with the Liddell family. Alice Liddell, the girl who inspired the story of Alice in Wonderland, was an important part of Lewis Carroll's life and work. Lewis Carroll met the Liddell family at Christ Church, Oxford, which is where he taught math, and Henry Liddell, Alice's father, was the dean. Their houses were next to each other, so Carroll saw the Liddell children a lot and quickly became their photographer and storyteller. His feelings for Alice Liddell came from her energetic nature and her creative ideas. Carroll believed that children brought honesty and creativity that adults often missed, and Alice was the best example of that kind of inspiration. The famous 1862 boat ride, when Alice asked him to tell a story, inspired the creation of Alice in Wonderland, which strengthened their relationship. But in 1863, Carroll's relationship with the family ended abruptly. He stopped visiting them, and he stopped writing stories. The pages in Carroll's diary that cover the exact dates of this were removed after he passed away. We don't know who removed them, and we will never know what they contained. Many historians have theories on what could have happened: a conflict over boundaries, concerns over Carroll's attachment to the children, a family secret or controversy they wish to keep hidden, or a romantic interest in the governess, or even worse. But unfortunately, none of these theories can be proven. Many biographers have tried to understand Carroll's personality. The debate usually falls into two: the innocence interpretation. Carroll was shy around people, really believed in religion, and felt uneasy about being in adult relationships. He admired the innocence of childhood and found comfort in being around children. His photography was artistic, not predatory. The obsession interpretation. Carroll's strong interest in young girls, the way he picked his photos, and the missing parts of his diary point to some deeper mental problems, maybe hidden feelings or harmful emotional habits. Lewis Carroll was a smart mathematician, a creative photographer, and a talented writer. He was also a man whose private life brings up real concerns. Lewis Carroll's legacy is not fully condemnable, but it's also not fully defendable. His actions may have been considered normal in the Victorian era, but they are now judged by today's standards. Carroll's story forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about art, innocence, and the narratives we choose to preserve. Lewis Carroll passed away on the 14th of January 1898, at the age of 65 and just 2 weeks short of his 66th birthday. He died from pneumonia. He would be 194 years old today. Thank you for watching.